welcome back. Where have you been? Hope you're okay. Lockdown 2 or maybe 3. Different to lockdown 1, Sophie's going into school. I'm a key worker, so I'm in school most days. And so we're only going to do one every week. So we're going to do what we're having for Saturday night dinner. Tonight we're having a little bit of a dinner party. We thought that the 4 of us would all get dressed up. So we've got starters, but for the main course, we're having Beef Wellington. Now, it is a bit extravagant, so but you don't have it that often. What you'll need, first of all, a nice piece of fillet steak. It's best to get it, well, you can only get these from your butchers. I haven't seen these sold like this anywhere else. You need about 1 inch per person for your fillet steak, so I've maybe just got about 5-6 inches there. The good thing about fillet steak is it's very, very tender. And you can sort of mould it. When we're going to wrap this in cling film and put it in the fridge for a bit, and it holds its shape. So fillet steak, you've got a big end, which is the Chateaubriand end. Then you've got the centre part, which is this part here, trimmed down by the butcher. Then you've got this sort of thin bit at the end that's used in sort of stroganoffs and things like that. So when you go see a butcher, ask for the middle cut. Get him or her to trim it down, and so you've got a nice piece like this. Now, the thing about Wellington is we've got to season it well as we go through, because once it's in the oven, we can't season it anymore. It's all wrapped up in pastry. It's a really decadent dish. It's absolutely outstanding if you get it right. Now, usually you would do Beef Wellington with a mushroom duxelle. Now, the cooks aren't big fans of mushrooms, so we're going to do it with a layer of spinach. Now, I've just wilted this spinach down in a pan for about 30 seconds, hot frying pan, no oil. And then I've squeezed it out because spinach has a lot of water in, so squeeze it out, make sure you get that moisture out. We're also going to wrap it in some Parma ham. You can use prosciutto or you can use Serrano ham as well, so get some of that. I've done a couple of pancakes. I'm going to wrap it in that just to keep all that lovely flavour and moisture in that we so desperately need. You'll need some puff pastry, buy a sheet, life's too short. Puff pastry, you'll need some mustard. I'm using Dijon mustard. You can use English mustard. It's got a sharper taste, English mustard. You'll need some cling film, egg wash, just egg yolks, a couple of egg yolks in there for the egg wash, salt and pepper, and I think that's it. I've got a frying pan on behind me because the first thing we need to do is season this up. Now we need to season it with salt and pepper really, really well all the way around, and don't forget the ends. Like I say, we can't season this once it's out, so get a decent amount on there, roll it into the steak, make sure you get the ends. And sort of massage it through. So get that on there. Like that. Push it right in. Be a bit firm with it. This will give you a lovely flavour afterwards. Then you need a hot pan. Come with me, sir. It's got a pan, it's hot, make sure it doesn't splash, put it away from you, get it seared. Now we're only going to sear this for about 1 minute each side. It won't need too long. We're not cooking it through because it's going to cook in the oven. So make sure you give it about sort of 30 seconds, give it a twist away from you so the oil doesn't splash on you. Leave it on that side. So we're going to go all around the sides and we're going to do each end as well. So why don't you bob back when that's done. Right, it's had about 1 minute on each side, so we'll take it out of the pan and pop it on a plate. So the next thing to do is coat it in mustard. Now it's really important that this mustard goes on whilst it's hot. Once it's cooled down, the meat won't take the flavour as much. So, and be generous with the mustard. You'll see, as you put it on, it seems to disappear a little bit. And that's fine because what it's doing, it's being absorbed by that meat. So we need to get as much flavour into this fillet as possible, and we need to keep as much moisture in. So when we wrap it up later, we'll try and keep all the moisture in that beef. Don't forget the underside, and that needs doing. Right, so we're just going to leave that to cool for about 5 minutes. Once you've got that mustard on, let it all soak in. Do another layer if you want, but make sure it's covered all the way through. Okay, so I'm going to let that rest for 5 minutes and then we're going to start wrapping it up. Come back in 5. Right, welcome back. The meat's rested. You can see the mustard has gone totally in. Before we go any further, I've got to say hello to Soph, who's filming. Say hello, Soph.
Hi.
Hi, and Year 8 at the Skipton Academy wanted an hello, so hello Year 8. Right, so what I've done with my pancakes, I've trimmed them into squares the same width as the fillet. So what we're going to do, and I've covered my board in cling film, 2 sheets of cling film, and we're going to sort of start creating this fillet sandwich, for want of a better phrase. So first pancake goes on, overlap it a little bit with the second pancake. There we go. I've seasoned my spinach with salt and pepper, and I'm just going to pop it on here. It's really important to season as you go with this, because like I say, once it's in the oven, there's no adjusting. So make sure you get a little layer, flatten it out, of spinach on there. And I've given another little squeeze to get all that excess water out, because you don't want it to spill out. Okay, there we go. So the spinach is quite peppery, so that's just going to sort of flavour the meat anyway. Then we're going to put our prosciutto on, which is quite salty, and that's going to sit next to the fillet steak. So just a layer of that, so it's like I say, making a sandwich. Get a good layer of that all over. Now remember, the pancake is going to seal this in. All the rest of the fillings here are really just to give it flavour. There's no sort of way you can make the ham seal it in as well, but just get a nice, so maybe, I think this is, it did fall apart as I opened the packet, but sort of 3 or 4 slices. There we go, we'll just use that. And then this is the difficult bit. So we take our beef that's rested for 5 minutes, covered in, and then we pop it on about an inch or so from the edge. Can you see that, Soph? And then we start to roll. So we use the cling film to keep it pressed in, pull it across, and this is the tricky bit here. So when we get to this bit here, like that, we tuck it under, put the cling film right over it, tuck it right under, squeeze it, and roll it into a big sausage, like this. Now what this does, a number of things. Keeps the flavours in, it keeps the shape, and then we're going to refrigerate that for about half an hour. So in half an hour's time, so we've basically made our fillet steak sandwich. It's got pancake on the outside, then it's got a layer of spinach. Usually it would be mushroom duxelle, which is basically chopped up mushrooms fried with a bit of garlic. And then we've got our Parma ham right next to the fillet. So get it to the shape you want at this point. Once you get it in the fridge here, moulding's done. So if it's bigger at one end, sort of squeeze it and massage it, get all the air out. So we're going to refrigerate that for at least 20 minutes. If you're struggling for time, if you've forgotten to get it done, then you can stick it in the freezer for 5 minutes. But we're going to pop that in the fridge for 20 minutes. See you soon. Bye. Okay, we've had about half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour in the fridge. It's held its shape, so we're going to unwrap it now. And then we're going to wrap it in our cling film. But before we unwrap it, we're going to make sure we've got enough of this. So all we're going to do is we're going to sort of wrap it over and see how much spare we've got. So if I chop it off, this one out about there. Now you don't want loads at the end, unfortunately we think we've just got the right amount here. So if I peel this off the paper, if it comes off, and just check, it just wraps it. You don't want it to overlap loads, but you want to make sure you've got enough coverage to get it on. So if you come here, so there's a little overlap on there, so that's absolutely fine. So we'll take that off. We'll take that off. Now, what I'm going to do with the pastry is just right at the ends, just roll it out a little bit thinner, because this is where it's going to overlap. So, there, and just do it on there. That's done. Okay. So, we're going to wrap it up in pastry. Now, we're going to leave our pastry just to one side for a second because we need cling film again. And I don't know where I put it. Put it away. Right, okay, cling film. So we're going to do the same like we did when we were wrapping it up in the first place. A couple of sheets. Make sure, in fact if you do it that way, make sure they're long enough for you to wrap up. There we go, there's one. And just overlap it. There's two. Okay, I'm going to put our pastry on. Okay, nice and straight. I want to make sure there's no holes in this, so that would be disastrous. And then we're going to take our fillet. So we're going to pop it about, I don't know, a third of the way across, like that. And then we're going to egg wash the inside. Now, we're going to egg wash the outside as well, but we're going to egg wash the inside so it sticks to that pancake. So just egg yolks in here, no egg whites. And we're just going to make sure we get a little bit of egg wash on both sides here. So, and all the way around, just so that pastry sticks to that pancake. Now, we're going to season that with a bit of salt, just a touch. And then we're going to try and wrap it up. So like before, start with this end, bring it up to the top, and then slowly but surely wrap it in that pastry. And keep the cling film on, pull the pastry up, maybe a little bit of egg wash just underneath where it is. Now, at this point, we can do a number of things, but the way I like to do it, so you can trim it off and tuck it in. So if you press it down a little bit, but keep it in the cling film at this point. Press it down, move it round, like that. And then we're going to grab these ends, and we're going to twist. Now, you are actually, in fact, if you do it here, you're twisting the pastry. Now this pastry will start to melt a little bit as you do this, and it will form a nice seal. Now, what we're going to do is just trim those ends off. Now I don't need this for another, what time are we having dinner? 7 o'clock, starters 7:30, so I don't need this for about another hour and a half. So we're going to bob this back in the fridge until we need it. Then we're going to unravel it, make sure it's all sealed, egg wash it, score it, get it in the oven, and it'll be absolutely delicious. So back in the oven, back in the fridge it goes, keeping its shape all the time. And we'll see you at the dinner party. Catch you in a bit. Bye-bye. Right, welcome back. We've had our starters. So this is going to take about 20-25 minutes. Just going to trim those ends off. I don't know why I'm doing it with scissors, but I thought I would, so we've got a nice neat. Just check there are no gaps. Next thing to do, egg wash. Remember, this is just egg yolk. Egg yolk on its own will give it a really dark, hopefully sort of bronzed finish to it. Don't forget to get it all done. And then, once we've egg washed it, and we'll do the underside as well, we do two things before we put it in the oven. I've set the oven to 180 fan, 200 non-fan, whatever gas mark that is. We'll pop it back on there, give it a... So I'll put a bit of greaseproof paper on a baking tray. Blah, blah, blah. Make sure there are no gaps, pinch that in. These end bits, delicious, but we're not going to serve them, so they just come off. Last thing we do before we put it in, well, two things. We give it a little season with salt again on the top, and we score it just to make it nice. Now you can score it any way you want. I'm just going to do a little lattice. Don't go all the way through. Try and tilt your knife a little bit, and that'll just give it a nice pattern on the top. So 20-25 minutes for medium rare. Who knows? It's quite a big piece of beef this, so it might be 25 minutes. We'll give it 25 minutes and I'll test it with a meat thermometer and see how we're getting on. If you haven't got a meat thermometer, just give it a go and hope. It's quite a thick piece, so I'm thinking 25 minutes. See you in a bit. Bye-bye. Hi, welcome back. I was going to put the Wellington in for about 25 minutes, but about 10 minutes in I realised the oven wasn't hot enough. So it's a bit of guesswork. It's been in a bit longer than 25 minutes, but we want it medium rare. I've had the thermometer on it and it's just under medium. It's rare to medium rare at the minute. It's nice and crunchy on the top. Now we need to let that rest for at least 5 minutes, and after 5 minutes we'll come back, we'll cut it in half, and hopefully it'll be sort of medium rare, but who knows. Come back in 5. At the moment of truth, I've got a feeling the middle 2 steaks will be rare and the outer 2 will be medium rare. Shall we cut into it? Now, generally what you do is take these end bits off and keep them for later, give them to the dog, something like that. Now this is a big chunky old bit, so we should have rare in the middle, medium rare towards the outside, but let's just, you need a serrated knife for this to get through that crunchy pastry. And this is a moment of truth. Do you want to see before me, Seth? Look at that. Beautiful. So we'll just open that up so we can see those layers, nice and rare in the middle. The next 2 steaks will be medium rare. Sophie and I like rare ones, and we'll give, are you alright with medium rare, you two? Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And I'm simply serving that with some mashed potato and broccoli and some red wine sauce, just to let that sing its loudness. Hope you've enjoyed this. We won't be doing this every weekend. We'll be doing this every weekend. Every Saturday we'll record what we're having for dinner and post it on the Sunday, but we won't be doing Wellington. Hope you've enjoyed it. In the meantime, stay safe, stay home, and keep cooking. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.